Welcome to the In Love with PMDD podcast. I am your host, Dr. Rose, your PMDD relationship psychotraumatologist, and I help you stop the monthly PMDD breakups. PMDD is premenstrual dysphoric disorder. It is in approximately 1 in 5 women, and it makes you want to break up with your partner approximately 1 to 2 weeks before your period every single month. So as someone who has suffered with PMDD for over 18 years, I dedicated my doctorate practice to helping partners navigate those monthly PMDD breakups with everything from attachment styles, triggers, sensitivity to noise, sensitivity to touch, all of the things that you really struggle with when you're in PMDD. And I also dedicated my dissertation to a phenomenological study of the relationship experiences of partners of individuals who suffer with premenstrual dysphoric disorder. So I'm not just here to help the sufferer, the one who is suffering with PMDD. I am here for the partners as well. So if you need those private sessions, make sure you go to inlovewithpmdd.com and get those tools. So let's get into this week's PMDD trauma transformational tools that is going to help you stop the monthly breakups and stop the suffering and stress in your PMDD relationship. Let's get into it. Today, I want to talk to you about communication and PMDD in your relationship. And the reason why I really want to talk about this is because it is the number one tool that I give to all of my private clients as far as if you're in the middle of a fight, if you're in the middle of a breakup, if you're in the middle of trying to reconcile and get back on the same page, if you're trying to repair damage from your last month of PMDD, communication is key. And there's a lot of mistakes that we make as PMDD sufferers, and then the partners also make. And it's in the words that we speak. And I don't think that you're recognizing how much power the words that you speak have. You know, when you go into PMDD and you get frustrated with your partner and you get upset with them and you get triggered, you know, you may say things out of anger and then feel better afterwards, but the words that you say literally stick with your partner for months, days, years, and it comes up when we have counseling sessions, and it comes up in your mind when you have intrusive thoughts, when you're going through PMDD and you're remembering all the things that your partner has said to you and how it's made you feel. And then you start to think, do I really deserve that? Should I even be with someone who speaks to me like that? And it's all about not understanding the power that words have and thinking that you can just say whatever you want to say, chalk it off to PMDD, chalk it off to being stressed, and think that it's not going to impact your relationship in the long run. And the first thing I want to tell you is you need to be mindful of what you say to your partner, whether you're the partner that has PMDD or you're the partner that doesn't. The words stick. So that's the mantra, that's the tool, that's what you need to remember. When you're thinking about saying something to your partner, remember, words stick. What you say to your partner will last a lot longer than sometimes what you do. You can do all of these loving things and you said such hurtful things that everything you do, it's like it's not being appreciated, acknowledged, or even seen or validated because you've said so many ugly things. I've had this happen to me so many times where partners will buy me things and they'll go out of their way and take care of the kids and do this and do that and you know all of the things, but the words that they've said to me in the moments of anger have been so horrible that I can't even see or validate anything, any action that they're doing. And so the partner who's doing the actions may feel like, oh, I'm not being validated. Like I do all this and they don't appreciate it. It's like, no, they don't appreciate it because you called them a piece of crap the other day, or you called them whatever name that you called them in the middle of an argument. So now when you do something nice, they're rolling their eyes at it. They're not taking you seriously. And I think so many times we feel this freedom, or I know so many times we feel this freedom because you're my partner, you're my person. So you feel like you could just say anything and do anything, right? Because remember, I talked about this before, but if you treated your partner like they were a boss, you would never talk to your boss the way you talk to your partner. If you knew that you could lose your job by verbally abusing them, by talking negatively to them, by even having a certain tone with them, you would never do it. But sometimes, most times, you have more respect for people that are not even, you're not even in a relationship with than you do for your own partner that you sleep with. And it's a slap in the face because it's showing that you have the capacity to control your temper, to control your words, to control what you say, to control your tone. You have the capacity to do that even in moments when you're triggered, but you're just choosing not to do it with me. And I can tell you this because I've been guilty of it myself. I've been triggered by coworkers, I've been triggered by my daughter, and I've never talked to them the way that I've talked to partners. I've never spoken to them. I've never given a tone. I mean, literally, there have been so many times where when I'm in PMDD and my daughter's triggered me by like slamming the door or doing something, and I don't go off on her. I don't give an attitude. The next time she talks to me, I'm cheery and I'm nice and I'm fine. And that's because I'm recognizing that my words have power. If I go off on my daughter because I'm suffering, I may feel better getting it off my chest because I'm super annoyed. And she may go into her room and cry. Or I may go to work and, coworkers are triggering me and then I just go off on them in PMDD rage and they may go home and feel horrible about it. So I control myself. I have the ability. You have the ability. And if you think back to yourself right now, how many times have you controlled the words that you wanted to say to people when you're in PMDD outside of your partner? And then think about how many times have you immediately felt triggered by your partner and gone off on them? Like there's not even a second thought. And that's the problem. There's no second thought. There's this freedom, there's this liberation of, oh, you're my person and you're a grown up. So you can handle it. I've had private clients say that to me all the time. No, I would never talk to my child like that because they would get their feelings hurt. But my partner's a grown adult. Both your partner and your child have emotions and feelings, and they both deserve to be recognized and adhered to in a way that's respectful. Just because you're suffering, just because you feel bitter, just because you feel resentful, just because you've made up stories in your mind about something that your partner has done does not give you the permission. It does not give you the permission to go off on them. And I caution you from doing this because I know how much damage that it can cause. Towards the end of my last relationship with my ex PMDD partner, one of the things that solidified me breaking up was the amount of negative verbal comments that I had received and how they stuck with me. How I was told I was not a supportive wife as a PMDD partner. PMDD is all over the place. You're always being triggered. You're always this. You're a piece of crap. I have to deal with all this and blah, blah. Like it was so many words that started to replay in my mind that I was like, I'm not doing this. Because you get into this mode when you get into PMDD where you're just like, I'm not going to do this for the rest of my life. And granted, my last breakup was not a PMDD breakup, meaning it wasn't a PMDD monthly breakup, meaning I didn't break up just because I was in PMDD, but it did made me relook as to whether this is the partner that's right for me because I'm going to have PMDD. If you're saying all of these negative things about PMDD and how you can't handle it and all of these and blaming me and shaming me for something that I didn't ask for, then maybe you're just not equipped to be with someone that has PMDD. And that's not even shade. It's not even like saying something negative. Being a PMDD partner, you have to have a specific level of qualities and requirements. And if you don't, it's not going to work, or it's going to work, but that means you're going to be stuck in the situation and you're going to be miserable for both people. So what I want you to recognize is cognitively what happens to your brain when you speak negatively. When you go into PMDD and you're saying, I'm this, I'm that, all of these things, and your partner's saying it, there's something going on in your brain. And you know, we know that when we go into PMDD, at least for me, the mental anguish, the mental suffering is the worst for me. I've said it before, I'll say it again. If PMDD was only a physical thing, I would be suffering way less. Not because I want, not because I want to experience physical pain, but I feel like the mental pain, the emotional pain is way worse for me. Like if I could trade it off, I would almost rather be in physical pain than for someone to be messing with my brain, messing with my mind. Right. So, what I want you to really recognize cognitively from a scientific point of view, when you speak negatively, it has severe cognitive effects on you and the person you're speaking it to. Okay, so we're going to go over that because I really want you to recognize that it means it has an effect on you while you're in PMDD. And then it also has an effect on your partner, the person that you're speaking to, when you're speaking negatively, when you're going off on PMDD rage, when you're speaking impulsively, when you're speaking when you don't have the facts. How many times have you accused your partner of something and that they haven't really done? And you're attacking their character. So the first thing that can happen for you is when you start to speak negatively while you're in PMDD and say, this month is going to be horrible. I shouldn't be with my partner. Oh my gosh, you're going to trigger me. Every single month I go through this, they're probably not going to be supportive. All you're doing is you're reinforcing those negative thought patterns that you have in your brain, which is making it harder for them to break. If you start speaking negatively about your partner, about your relationship, if all of those negative things that you're speaking are going to happen, you're reinforcing it. What you speak, you give life to. What you speak, you give life to. Meaning the more you speak it, the more it's going to show up in your life. You're giving power to the words that you speak. So if you're speaking negatively and saying that your relationship is always going to be like this, you're always going to be fighting, you're always going to be arguing, you're not compatible, you're not on the same page with all these things, you're never going to get it right, it's always going to be like this, that's what's going to start to show up in your life. You're speaking that out. And what I would say to you and what I said to private clients is you can think whatever you want to think, and there's no power in it. There's no power in the thought unless it's spoken. We all have negative thoughts. I don't care if you're the most positive person on the planet. Everyone thinks for me, they're like, oh, you're so positive. I have negative thoughts every single morning. And I don't just mean in PMDD. In PMDD, I have really negative thoughts in the morning, but I have negative thoughts. And that's why I do my PMDD partners morning routine to shift my negative thoughts. Because honestly, if I didn't do something to get myself out of that state, I think I would be a completely different person. The reason why I say that is because your thoughts, what you're thinking, are directly correlated with emotions. So you have a thought. I'll paint this picture for you. You have a thought, and say the thought is, I'm so unattractive. Like maybe you get into PMDD and you feel unattractive. So then you feel like your partner feels like you're unattractive. So now that thought of being unattractive translates to an emotion. So that emotion is you feel insecure. And what comes with insecurity comes from jealousy. And so now because you're thinking to yourself that you're unattractive, you're feeling like your partner is finding you unattractive. So that's creating an emotion within you of jealousy and insecurity. And now you're going to start to treat your partner as if that thought that you thought, which was that you're unattractive, that your partner thinks that, and you're going to treat them. You're going to behave in a way that's making that true. You've not confirmed it with your partner. You've not asked them any questions. Just because that thought, you wake up in the morning and you look at yourself in the mirror, say you're brushing your teeth, and you look up and you look at the bags in your eyes, you look at the wrinkles on your face, you look at the freckles, you look at all these things, you look at your belly flopping all over the place, you look at your boobs, maybe they're sagging. You look at all these things and you just feel like a frumpy mess. You're like, I'm unattractive. And then you're like, if I find myself unattractive, my partner must find me unattractive. So now what that thought does is that thought creates a story in your mind, right? Remember, your partner could be still sleeping this whole time. You created this thought in your mind of like, ah, oh, my partner thinks I'm unattractive. Now you have the emotion of jealousy and insecurity. And now when your partner wakes up in the morning, you're treating them through the lens of that jealousy and that insecurity. You're being short with them. You're being snippy with them. You're speaking words that are negative towards your partner, towards yourself. And you're creating a dynamic within the relationship that all came from the words that you speak. Because if you're able to handle it at the lowest level, which is you control your thoughts so that they don't become emotions and actions, then whatever you think is harmless. If you immediately delete, and this is what I do with thoughts that I know are PMDD thoughts, they're intrusive thoughts, they're lies. Immediately when I think them, I delete. I say, that's not true. That's not true for me. That's not true for me. So your subconscious mind will believe that because you're not saying that it's not true. You may be a little bit overweight, or you may be feeling like you need some more moisturizer on your skin. Whatever the thing is, that may be a fact. So we're not denying the fact. You're not saying I'm a top model. Like we're not, because your subconscious mind will call BS. So we're saying maybe I'm in this place, but I don't believe that for me. I still think I'm attractive. You're countering that thought with a positive reaction. And this is where we're missing the steps. We're going along with whatever negative thought that we believe in our mind, and we're acting off of it. When you automatically believe whatever your PMDD tells you in your brain, then you're going to automatically react to it. You're going to get that feeling of jealousy and insecurity. And once you start reacting to your partner in that way, you're doing damage. You're doing damage. Because what you say out of your mouth will keep you stuck. What I want you to do is when you're in PMDD, don't let what you're going through impact what you say. Don't let the suffering that you're going through in PMDD impact the scripts that you're saying about yourself, about your relationship, about your partner. Just because you're thinking it in PMDD doesn't make it true. I'm going to repeat that. Just because you're thinking it in PMDD doesn't make it true. Because if you believe everything you think, it is going to cause you to have a lot of increased stress and anxiety. You're going to be freaking out. If you feel unattractive and now you feel like your partner's going to cheat on you, what is that going to cause you? Stress and anxiety. So when you're speaking negatively in that way, it releases the stress hormones like cortisol. When your cortisol levels are increased, and you have those feelings of stress and anxiety, guess what? Cortisol produces belly fat. So it's counterproductive. If some of your thoughts about your image, where you feel like you've indulged a little bit too much on your PMDD cravings, and now you feel like you're ashamed of yourself and you're beating yourself up and all that, you stressing and worrying about it and talking negatively about it and be like, oh, I feel so fat. Uh, all that's going to do is create more stress and anxiety in your body and your mind. And it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. It's almost like I had this partner that always thought I was going to cheat on them. I have a lot of partners like that. I have a lot of partners that are insecure in the realms of you're going to cheat on me. And I think it's because I've had a lot of partners who've been cheated on in the past. And the self-fulfilling prophecy hasn't been that I cheated on them, but it's like you lost me, meaning I broke up with you because one of the reasons was because of that negative self-talk that you talked about the whole time. You were damaging the relationship the whole time by saying you're probably doing this and you're probably doing that and you're probably and then when the relationship ended, it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy. It's like, okay, so there's almost this level of relief when it finally does happen. And I know that's happened for a couple of my exes where they've talked about the relationship ending. They've spoken about how it wasn't going to last. They've spoken about I was going to leave them. They've spoken about all these things because they felt jealous and insecure. And then when it happened, it was almost like finally, like I was putting them out of their misery because they always believed that it was going to happen. And honestly, a lot of them believed that it was something that I was planning from the beginning and it was inevitably going to happen. And I had honestly never thought about it. But I heard about it so much. I heard about breaking up. I heard about it not working. I heard about, I don't know about this. So what you say really impacts the quality of your relationship. The words that you speak, how do you speak about your relationship to other people? How do you speak about your relationship to yourself? How do you speak about your partner to other people? How do you speak about your partner to yourself? That is going to impact the quality of your relationship. So if you're saying when you go into PMD, I don't have a supportive PMDD partner, are you speaking to them and about them as if they are a supportive PMDD partner? If you are speaking to your partner like they are a piece of crap and they're inadequate and they're missing the mark and they're not good enough for you and they're not doing the things that you need for them to do, and then they show up like that, why are you even mad? Why are you disappointed? You spoke what you were projecting onto your life. What you speak is what you seek. And so what I say, instead of talking so negatively and complaining about what they're not doing and how you're not compatible and maybe they're not the right person for you, blah blah blah, you, by the way, you're going to get in the same scenario with anybody that you choose to be with. It's not just your partner. You're going to come to a point where you're trying to get your needs met and you feel like they're missing the mark because it's a little bit harder. That just means they have to learn the tools and they have to condition their mind to do the things that work for you. That doesn't mean that they can't ever get there. But if you're canceling them out with this whole cancel culture, like, I've been with you for 40 days and 40 nights and you haven't done it, so we're done. Then you're losing hope. You're losing the belief. If you don't believe it, they're not going to believe it. So you can't expect them to change any of their actions if you're already assuming that they're going to miss the mark. My mantra for this is speak what you seek until you see what you said. Speak what you seek. What I mean by that is speak life into your partner in a way that is speaking the positive things about them. I love that you're so generous. I love that you're so supportive. I love that you're so caring. I love that you're so generous. I love that you're so giving. I love that you're so attentive. I love that you're so communicative. You're speaking what you seek. These are qualities that you're seeking in your partner until you see what you said. If you really knew, the trick of this is you speak only what you want to see. That is the tool. Speak only what you want to see. If you want to see negative, speak negative. If you want to see positive, speak positive. What you say out of your mouth matters because it gets into your heart. When you start to say these negative things so much, it gets into your heart, and that's how you start feeling differently about your partner. Have you ever noticed that you've been able to do that when you've been in PMDD? You've literally felt differently about them. You felt less connected. You may have felt disgusted. You may have felt all of these things because you've let whatever the negative things that you thought in your mind, you spoke them out loud, and now it's in your heart. So that part of your heart that used to be like that heart emoji, that's like super whatever, you're no longer feeling like that anymore. You're feeling like, oh, they're this horrible person. You're feeling trapped. Why would you say words that make you feel trapped within the relationship? I know for me, being trapped is like my Achilles heel. Like that's I can't. I cannot. I immediately will get claustrophobic if I feel like I put myself in a position of negativity and like this is my life kind of thing. So, what I want you to recognize is your heart creates the issues that you have. The words that you've spoken that have sunk in your heart have created the issues that you have with your partner. You thought something negative, you spoke something negative, and now your heart believes it. And now your heart can't connect to your partner because of the negativity that you put in there. It would have never gotten in there without the words that you've spoken. In order for something to really get into your heart, you have to speak it. So if you're wondering why you have this negative feeling towards your partner, whether you have these negative thoughts, you're like, why do I feel like that? Why can't I just get on the same page with my partner? Why am I disgusted by them? Why, when I go into PMDD, I just feel like, oh, they're not good enough and all these things. What did you let come out of your mouth? What are you gossiping to your friend about? Are you gossiping to your friend about how they're a piece of crap and how you deserve so much better and blah, blah. And then when you show up to them, you're wondering why they're acting exactly what you spoke. You don't even have to speak it directly to your partner. If you're gossiping about your partner to someone else, then please believe everything that you're saying about your partner, they're going to start reinforcing it. Your partner will reinforce what you're saying about them. They will reinforce it. They'll start acting as if what you're saying about them is true. And then a lot of times, what I find is that you get offended by that. Like you'll literally get offended and be like, I can't believe they did this, or I can't believe they said this. Why can't you believe it? Why can't you believe it? Why can't you believe that they said and did these things to you about you when you've said that they've done it this whole time? It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. What you speak will start to show up in your mind scientifically, cognitively. I mean, whatever way that you can digest this, I want you to really get to the point where you believe how severe it is. Right? Because what you speak has power. What you speak, you give life to. What you speak, you give life to. So when you really get to this point where you recognize that words have the power to create the life that you desire or destroy the life that you desire. If you start talking so negatively about your relationship and you're just like, oh, Dr. Rose, I don't know. I don't even know if this is the right person for me. Your subconscious mind is like, oh, she doesn't know if this is the right person for her. Now we don't believe it either. And what's going to show up? More reasons as to why this is not the right person for you. Because now everything that's going to be attracted to you is going to be in correlation with what you said. It's like, oh, we're unsure about this relationship. And yeah, you can say things like, I just said that because I was in PMDD, or I just said that because I was angry, or the reasoning doesn't matter. This is what I want you to understand. Your subconscious mind doesn't know why you're saying what you're saying. It literally just believes that this is what's true. So if you really understood the power that your words have, you would be very careful about the words that you speak, because what you put out into the world, into the universe, is going to come back on you. And regardless of what you believe, whether you believe, God, the universe, if you believe spiritually, you know scripturally, it's life and death is in the power of the tongue. So that's in the Bible. And if you believe in the universe, it is the law of attraction. What you put out will come back. So it's scientifically and psychologically proven. You can go through many, many mantras. Like the Buddhist mindset is even like that. As a man, and even in the Bible, as a man thinketh, so he is. What you think is what you say, and then it happens. Like that is the formula. So when you're thinking that it's okay to just mindlessly speak anything and just be like, oh, have like what I call word vomit and just say whatever comes to mind, you need to reel that in. Because if you think that you have the freedom to just say whatever comes to mind and then nothing's going to come after that, you're not picking up on the correlation between all of that. Because if you are, you would go back and think about it. I mean, I would say to you, test my theory. Think about the last negative things that you said about your partner and see if your relationship has gotten better or worse since you've said it. I guarantee you, your relationship hasn't improved because you've spoken negatively about your relationship. Your relationship has not improved because you've spoken negatively about your partner. Your partner doesn't, you don't tell your partner they're a piece of crap and then all of a sudden they're like, ah, oh, yes, that's exactly what I needed to hear. Now I'm going to go be a great partner to you. You tell them they're a piece of crap and they show you more of how they're a piece of crap. I'm telling you this because I've been there. I've spoken so negatively. I've complained to family members and been like, they're so horrible to me. And what happens? They become more horrible to me. When I've spoken and said, oh my gosh, they're so amazing. They're so great. They're so supportive. I saw small inklings of that. I saw progress in that area. Speak life into your partner. And what I mean by that is speak to them as if they were the version of themselves that you want them to be. And this is really good for you to know if you're suffering in PMDD. I just want you to speak to your partner as if they're doing all the things that you needed them to do. What would that look like? How would you speak to them? How would you approach them? What would your mannerisms be if they were doing all the things? Start treating them like that. And I know the ego comes in and is like, I'm not going to treat them like that because they're not acting like that. Okay, well, what's the alternative? You just sit there and wait for it to miraculously happen? Try it. Try to speak what it is that you want to seek. And a lot of times when I'm having a hard time with this, because I know what I'm saying is not easy. I'm having a hard time with speaking positively about my partner because of all of the negative things that they've said and the negative things that they've done. I say I want to get rid of the seed of the bitterness and resentment. So here's the thing. If you're talking negatively about your partner, you're hurt. They've done something. They've said something to where you just feel like you can't get over it. Like you can't believe that they said and did this thing. And I would get to the root of it. And a lot of times we have to work through this in counseling sessions where we're getting to the root of what is that thing that you're holding on to that is just like, this is why I'm talking about them this way. And this is why I have the workbook, the fresh start. And it helps you go to the root of what it is that your partner has said and done. Get to the root of it and pluck it up so that you don't continuously think about it when you're in PMDD. Because I know what it's like to be there where it feels like the same action that my partner took, the same hurtful thing they did, the same hurtful thing they said is showing up in my mind again and again and again. And then I'm starting to speak on it. And you don't know that that situation that happened is dead. Every single time you talk about it and you complain about it and you agonize about it and I don't mean talk about it in counseling sessions. I mean talk about it just like reminding yourself, because when we're talking about it in counseling sessions, we're coming up with a solution of how we can move past it. When you're talking about it just to talk about it, you're giving life to it. You're saying, oh, this is where we're at. And you start to feel more and more depressed. You start to feel more and more anxious the longer you linger with what it is that you're thinking about. So it impairs your problem solving skills. So negative thinking and speaking about your partner, it makes it harder to find solutions to the problem because you feel like, oh, well, I guess it's always going to be like this. Like there's this hopelessness that happens. And then that's when you get into this realm of you have negative self-esteem. So you start speaking negatively about yourself because of the negative words that you've said. So for the person that is hearing the negative comments, like your partner, when they're hearing you speak negatively about yourself in PMDD, you may be beating yourself up. I'm so fat. I'm so ugly. I'm so unattractive. I'm such a mess. I'm so depressed. I'm such a loser. I'm abusive. I'm whatever negative things that you're saying about yourself. When your partner hears that, they start to feel the same emotions that you feel when you're saying those words. They start to feel the sadness, the depression, the anger, the frustration. You're speaking like you're being needy. You're like, oh my gosh, you love me. Do you love me? Like, I feel like you're cheating on me. Like, all they start to feel insecure too. I've been in situations where it's been like that. And it's like my partner has not been insecure. And then I've spoken insecurity so much that like they're now in that state. And what can I say? Because I created it with my words. It was the way that I was consistently talking to them that made them feel like maybe it is a possibility that one of us could cheat. Maybe it is a possibility that we won't be together. I remember with my ex when it was towards the end of our relationship, And he said something about, yeah, I may fix this one thing, but it's not going to be while I'm with you. And those words stuck to me so huge because I felt like, wait a minute, are you speaking as if there's a possibility that we are not going to be together forever? So it's almost like what he said stuck with me so much that I began to go on another journey of looking at what my life would be like without him because he planted that seed. So your words are a seed. You plant seeds every single time you speak outwardly about your relationship, about your partner. You're planting a seed. Are you going to plant a seed of hope, meaning like, I really hope this works out? Or are you going to plant a seed of like, oh, I don't think this is going to work out. I don't think we're compatible. I don't think we should be together. You're planting that seed. And when you watch it grow, when it grows up to be more evidence of you not being compatible and not working out, you can act shocked and be like, oh my gosh. Or it could be a self-fulfilling prophecy like, see, I knew it wasn't going to work. No, it could have worked had you not spoken over your relationship like that, had you not spoken over your partner like that. The thing that helps a lot of PMDD partners, meaning both of you in the relationship, get through the hard times is the words that you speak about each other. The words that you speak. This is why I always have you use mantras because mantras are so powerful in what it produces within your relationship. This is why when I get to the end of a lot of client sessions, I say, is this your person? Because regardless of how hard the client session was, how hard whatever it is that you're going through in your relationship is, if you can commit and declare out loud that this is my person, you'll be able to endure way more than you could. Way more. So I don't want you to feel like what you're saying is just, oh, I can have word vomit and just say whatever. What you speak matters, especially when you're in PMDD because it's so sensitive because of the state that your relationship is in. So when you have that negative self-talk that both of you are saying, when you go into PMDD, it's this sense of like emotional unsafety. Like you're feeling like it's always going to be an argument, it's always going to be a fight because you're always speaking negatively. So it's this breakdown in communication. Like you're not in that place of like really understanding what's going on with the other person because of the lack of empathy and connection. When you have empathy and you're connected with your partner, you understand things differently and you're more cognitive of what you're speaking. If your partner is criticizing you, blaming you, shaming you for stuff, like you're so far apart, you're so disconnected. And so the things that I want you to do is when you get into that mode of that negative speaking and you feel like um like I'm in this place where I'm only remembering the bad stuff. I want you to make a list of all the reasons why you're with your PMDD partner. Why am I with this person? Why am I in this relationship? And if you're in PMDD, you may be like, Dr. Rose, I can't think of a reason. I've been there before. But I've been able to not think of a reason when I'm in PMDD, and then I get out of PMDD and I have all the reasons. So if you're listening to this and you're in PMDD, I don't want you to think like, oh, because you can't come up with something means you're not supposed to be together. Because when you come to these conclusions in your PMDD brain and you say them out loud, it causes damage. When you're in PMDD and you're like, I don't think we should be together. I don't even think this is working. I can't do this. Your partner is hearing that and they're digesting that and they're downloading that. And then you go out of PMDD and you're like, oh my gosh, I just love you so much. We're just so meant to be. It causes chaos and confusion for your partner. Me and my ex-partner both did this, where we would say horrible things and then we would say really amazing things. But then it got to the point towards the end of the relationship where it's like, I don't know which one to believe. Do you really mean the negative things or do you mean the positive things? So what happens is the negative comments that you make about your partner in the relationship, they outshadow the positive. So now you can't even give your partner words of affirmation and positive words because they don't believe you because of all the negative things that you've said about them. I've been in this situation so many times where my partner has called me a piece of crap, and then 2 days later they're like, "Oh my gosh, you're so amazing. I don't know what I would do without you. You're my rock." And it's like, which one am I? Am I a piece of crap or am I your rock? Like it makes anything that your partner says after that very hard to believe because you're still holding on to the comments that are made. So I want you to just really think about how you can control your mouth, specifically the words that you speak when you are in PMDD or when your partner's in PMDD. If you're frustrated, you're feeling unloved, this is why I always work with my private clients to be able to self-soothe. I want you to self-soothe so that you don't do damage in your relationship by saying horrible things that you can't take back later on and that you're going to be paying for years and months and days to come. So if that's something that you need help with, make sure you go to inlovewithpmdd.com. And until next time, we got this. Love you. I hope this PMDD episode helped you and your partner in your struggles within your relationship. And if this is something that you know that you need help with and you need further support, individualized support, make sure you're going to inlovewithpmdd.com and you're getting those private sessions to really work through what you're going through in your relationship, specifically in regards to PMDD. And also, I want you to leave a 5-star written review on Apple Podcasts. What this does is it helps other PMDD sufferers and partners find this show that can help them get these free PMDD relationship tools. I remember what it felt like to not know that there were tools out there specifically for PMDD relationships. So I want to make sure that you are sharing these tools with others, share them on your social media, share them with people that you know that are also struggling in their PMDD relationships. Until next episode, this is Dr. Rose, your PMDD relationship psychotraumatologist. One more thing, I almost forgot. I now have the Fresh Start PMDD Partners Workbook. What this workbook can do is if you've had past traumatic experiences with your partner, past fights, past arguments, and they keep coming up every single month in PMDD, I created a Fresh Start Workbook so that you can deal with all of the traumatic experiences that have happened in the past in PMDD rage and all of these things so you can stop going through the same cycle again and again and again. So get that workbook. It comes with a video episode of the actual podcast that I recorded on getting a fresh start in your PMDD relationship. So you're not continuing the same cycle again and again and again. So make sure that you get that workbook. And if you need those individualized counseling sessions, you know where to go, inlovewithpmdd.com. Until next time, we got this. Love you.